Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new Warhammer 40k Imperium painting video. Now, as per usual with all the videos, if you like them, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course drop a comment down below. I love hearing back from you guys, and it goes an absolute massive way to help the channel too. Now, with this video, I wanted to go through how I painted up that Librarian in Phobos Armour that we got from the Space Marine range in Imperium magazine. I really like the model. I think it's an absolute brilliant addition to kits. Really cool pose, really good looking model, and a little bit different, having most of his armour covered up with the cloak and everything like that as well. So really good. Pretty damn cool stuff. And I just wanted to show how I went about painting it up to match a kind of Martian setting as well. So obviously I'm not painting it up in a normal way, so a lot of people are painting it in greys and stuff like that, so it blends in with stonework. And I wanted to go something a little bit different. So here's my interpretation. Hope you enjoy it. So of course I started off Mechanica Standard Grey as for base coat, as per usual. Now, because he is part of the Sons of Medusa, he is going to be painted up using green skin from Army Painter, generally pretty much all over the main armour pieces. Now, pretty decent paint. It's a bit thinner than most of the good old Citadel paints, but it does exactly the job that I wanted it to do. Then once that was dry, I layered over with Codia Green Shade, fantastic green shading paint, which kind of just sits in all them recesses, darkens everything up. It does add a little bit of a sheen and a shine to everything, so you do need to go back over it later on, but a fantastic bit of kit to kind of just sit in them recesses and just get everything just sitting a bit right in the model. And once that was dry, just going back over all the main flat areas, avoiding the recesses with green skin from the Army Painter range, and it does brilliantly. It's a really good paint, it's pretty damn cool, and yeah, exactly what I wanted it to do. Once that was dry, and I just moved on to the next colour, which is Dryad Bark, which is for the main leather area underneath and over the top of the breastplate area of the midi. I think it looks really good. It's a pretty handy trick to do for leather work, and it does work quite well for leather. So it's pretty much right up there as a pretty crafty way of doing your leather patterns. And then once that was dry, I layered over with Norn oil over all the leather type areas, and this sits in all them recesses, darkens everything down, and provides a little bit of a gloomy shade and kind of all in all them recesses, which does exactly what I wanted it to do, in all honesty. I think it looks pretty well, especially over Dryad Bark. It does sit quite nicely. And then I moved on to the sword. So layering over the sword with Lead Belcher. Pretty standard. Pretty easy to do, you can't go wrong with it. It looks exactly like it's supposed to, which is a metal blade. So very nicely done, and very easily done as well, so you can't go wrong with this as your base layer for any metallics. And then I'm painting up all the edges and in between the armour using Abaddon Black. So the kind of edge around the shoulder pads, and then all them gaps in between the main plates of armour. In the Abaddon Black, it just sits right, it just looks right as well, especially for the Sons of Medusa. And then it's time to focus on the main part of the mini, which I'm layering over with Mournfang Brown. Now, Mournfang Brown, very nice paint to use. It's very different, and it's very earthy, and it's a bit brighter as well. So I layered over this with this because it looks pretty good, and it is generally how I layer over the bases for the actual minis as well, to give them that Martian kind of setting. And then I just painted on some random patterns. So I used good old Jacaro Orange for a lot of areas. You will need to layer over several times, but this gives it that kind of reddish, kind of orangey, kind of dirty, kind of dusty colour for a Martian kind of setting, and you just paint it in different sections, as you can see. Once that was done, I layered over with good old Troll Slayer orange to brighten certain sections up, and kind of you layer over and you can mix and match, and you can kind of add little shapes here, there and everywhere, overlap them with the initial shapes that you've put on, and it just does a decent job as well. I'm not going to say this is perfect, but this is how I intended to do it in the first place, and I think it doesn't do too badly. And then, because you're going to want some dark shades in there as well, I used Dryad Bark, in all honesty, over certain areas, with a few small patches of that, which, again, it changes the look of it even slighter again, and does a pretty half decent job. So you could go full camo with it and paint up every section of it if you wanted to. I chose not to, and as you can see, I've also added some Abaddon black to it in certain little sections, and not so much of it to overwhelm it. And then I layered over with Seraphim Sepia over the entire lot as well. This sets in all them recesses, changes how everything looks, highlights everything, and kind of seems like it's actually a bit more fluid and in motion as well, in my opinion. And that's generally about it for the cloak. For the actual main blade of the sword, because it is a power sword, I wanted to give it a uniqueness so it looks like it is kind of drawing some kind of power from it. And with this I used Gryph-hound orange contrast paint over the metal because it stands out. And then I used good old Stormhost silver for the main blade over the top of it and all the highlights. The few extra little touches, use Retributor armour, good old Abaddon black, Khorne red, and play in certain sections. For the mask on his head, I used Korax white over the top. For the flesh tones, I haven't shown it because it's such a small area. It's a bit fiddly to paint, and it's a bit fiddly to film as well at the same time. But I used good old Cadian flesh tone. And I just went over it with Reikland Flesh Shade, and that was it. I did not do anything else to it. I just left it as simple as that, and it seems to have done just quite about the right job that I wanted it to do. Now, I'm quite pleased with my mini. I think it's a pretty decent addition to my Space Marine army, and he looks like he just fits, and he just sits right. So, that's my opinion. I would love to see all your painted up librarians, so if you want to, and you want to share them, in the top link in my description down below there is the good old Discord server, and it's a pinned comment as well on each of my videos. By all means, join my Discord server, share your photos. I would love to see your minis and how you're painting them up as well. And you can see a lot of other people's in there as well, and you can make some new friends from the Warhammer community. But thank you very, very much for watching. I'm going to let you all get on with it, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye bye now.